Hi, welcome to the Teach for India Halla Bol Prepping to the Final series video 1. The motion that we're going to discuss today is that this house will allow prisoners to be tortured in the name of national security. What this debate is not about, it's not about what is torture. Torture is bad and gruesome, and that's pretty much the ambit of the word torture. Two, who the prisoners are. The context can be very different if the prisoner is a terrorist or if the prisoner is a prisoner of war. But we don't think the debate should lie in that domain. Therefore, prisoner is someone who might have some important information pertaining to the national security of the country that he's captured in or is in the possession of. Right. Third thing, how they were caught is also not incumbent to the debate because it will not take it further. Right. Like somebody caught in a vessel on the coast of Mumbai is very different from somebody caught crossing the border at Kashmir, right? So all the scenarios are very different, and the debates could be very, very different. We don't think it will further analysis and not something that we want to see, right? So what this debate really is about is where do we draw the line? So think about it like this: like all our kids know that slapping somebody is a bad thing. They also know that killing somebody is a bad thing. But if I slap you, the government is not going to prosecute me. If I kill you, the government will. So in some sense, killing is not allowed by the government, but slapping is, because they're not going to take any action against me. But still, it's inherently a bad act to slap, even though the government is not going to take any action. Therefore, should I do it? Should I really, just because the government is allowing me to do it, should I really go ahead and slap someone? And is that okay to do? Also, the answer to that really lies in the purpose for which I'm slapping or killing, right? So that's the other side of the story where why am I really slapping you and why am I really killing you becomes important. So there are two things here, right? Like one is the why really important? Is it important to know why I'm slapping someone, or is it just important to know that I'm slapping someone and that in itself is bad? Which of the two is standing out? Because the government gives you certain right to do a certain amount of wrong, but then you know that that's wrong, therefore should you do it in the first place or not? So getting to the debate itself, right? Like, let's start with the yes arguments that yes, it's right to torture prisoners for national security. National security being the purpose, something that I propounded upon earlier, right? First argument for that is information is more valuable than morals, right? Because here you're saving lives of people and many people. So it's okay to torture one prisoner, somebody who's been either allegedly caught in a bad act or probably possesses information that could cause harm to more people. Also, one could argue that the role of the government is to save and protect its own citizens. If that comes at the cost of somebody else who's done something wrong, it's completely justified. Right? Second would be just to teach a lesson to the potential perpetrators of society, which means an observer. So if I'm getting tortured and if somebody is seeing torturing me, he knows the consequences of disobedience. And because I'm getting tortured, I obviously know that the extent of power that the state can exercise on me. Therefore, teaching a lesson to both parties, and therefore it's a very strong act, right? Third would be the fact that morality and ethics are largely undefined. So for a state to weigh something that is very largely undefined versus on one hand to like protect its citizens and their rights and all of that, which of the two will be more important? Of course, protection of citizens versus something that's something that is different from one person to the other. So what's right for me may be wrong for you. Therefore, the morality and ethicality of it being a very loose end that the government is not responsible for. Fourth would be there's no other way to do this, right? So if you have a prisoner who you think has important knowledge that can save many people, there is no other way in which you can save people but torture him. Therefore, it's a good act. Also, this would tie into the argument of end justifying the means, where you're torturing one person and therefore you're reaching to a larger goal or a larger end, something that like you'd want to take credit for. The less convincing argument would be that they deserve it. Because they've done something wrong, so doing something wrong to them isn't really a bad thing, and therefore that's something that sort of is not going against the government. It's all right for them to do it. The no, you should never torture side of arguments for this are one, information will be wrong. So even though they will give out information, but because they want to stop the act of torture itself, they will not give you the right information. Therefore, it's very unreliable information that they'll give you. that's not necessarily a right thing that you want, right? Like, because you want information that can actually lead to something good. In this case, clearly it will not, right? Second would be it's unjustified purely because it's bad, right? Like, it's gruesome. Torture is really, really bad. And you debate it from the philosophy that there are no bad people, there are only good people making bad decisions. Therefore they should not be suffered, right? Like, they need to be given a chance to improve upon their decision making skills, and like not really be tortured. Third would be that even if they are bad, you don't have the right to torture them, because the like you extend the harm principle here, which goes only to yourself. And well, even the state doesn't even allow you to commit suicide, so it doesn't allow you to harm yourself. Why is it, or how is it, you think that like you should be allowed to go and harm somebody else? That's a wrong thing to do, not something that you have the right to do. Yeah, your also your the characterization of the suffering after torture, right? It has long-term effects. It sort of goes on to your mental trauma, creates a lot of problems in your life. Family gets impacted. It's more than just one person, and the negatives may outweigh the positives because the uncertainty of information is always there. Therefore it's a wrong thing to do. Also, like, sort of tying this back up to the previous point, that the state does not have the right to do it in the first place, because like you're not them, right? Like, you are a different person altogether. um, so yeah, so that is those are pretty much the arguments against the prop and op. And yeah, I hope you've understood the debate a lot better, and just sort of go ahead with the discussion with your kids. Try and have them come about with arguments, and then given like act as a catalyst where they're thinking on their own without you really spoon feeding them in the first place. All the best.